Happy hump day, everyone. Welcome to Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio. Subscribe, smash that thumbs up below, and make sure you join the Mets Daily Insider family. $5 a month, extra video, live watch party every week, and eventually we're going to be doing giveaways every month as well. So click that join button below. It's $4.99 a month. We appreciate the support. You can follow me at Jake Brown Radio. The Mets went to Hollywood on Monday, and they won in dramatic fashion in a game that went till 1 a.m. And then last night, they were on the cusp of victory, but you see what a Mets team without Edwin Diaz available looks like. And you can't throw Edwin Diaz 3 days in a row. You just can't do it. This isn't the playoffs. It's not the time yet. This isn't September. Maybe in September you do it. You don't do it right now. And without Edwin Diaz, without A.J. Minter, this bullpen is just not as dominant. So they try to squeak out a win. They could not. Another one going late in extra innings. They can't get a run home when you get the heart of the order up with Soto, with Alonso in the 10th, and you knew that was history then. And then, you can argue Brandon Nimmo should have got that ball hit by Freddie Freeman. It went off the wall, so it was not an easy play, but if he does catch that, there's 2 outs. Maybe this goes to 11th. Either way, the Mets have got to score in the top of the inning. It's something that they continue to struggle to do, but you got to give Tyler McGill credit. Tyler McGill is a guy that all of us on Twitter said, send him down. People were posting flight times for him to get out of L.A. He rebounded. After that first inning where he gave up 4 runs, the Mets were down 4-1. It looked like he was going to have a rough outing. He went 5 shutout innings after that. So 6 innings, 4 runs, all of it coming in the first. So give him credit. He kept the Mets in this game. He wore it, and he wore it well from innings 2 to 6. And unfortunately, the bullpen couldn't get the job done, but good resiliency by the Mets there. They come back. They take a 5-4 lead, but Max Muncy just hits an absolute piss missile in the 9th off Huascar Brazoban. I didn't understand the Brazoban move. He pitched 32 pitches the night before. Why not keep Garrett in for a second inning? Garrett was emphatic coming off the mound, getting out of that jam. I like Garrett's, stuff a little bit more in that spot after a long night from Brazoban last night. Garrett, I believe, threw 19 pitches in the 8th, so it wasn't a crazy amount. So I thought the smarter move there probably would have been to go back to Garrett, maybe even go to Budo there. But instead they go to Brazoban. He gives up a homer, and then, they blow it in the 10th inning. What can you do? They can't win every time against the Dodgers. But, man, this series is setting up for cinema if it's a rematch of the playoffs. I mean, every game has been great. Monday, a nail-biter. Last night, a nail-biter. That Friday game at Citi Field that went 13 innings, a nail-biter. Baseball needs a 7-game series between the Mets and Dodgers in October. We had 6 last year, which is good, although some of the games were blowouts. These games have been really close. And like I said, without Edwin Diaz available, with A.J. Minter down for the year, this Mets bullpen needs help. And we start to look at, hey, trade deadline less than 8 weeks away here, around 7-8 weeks. You can do the math. You need help. And this team has got to figure out how they can add to this bullpen effectively because there's not enough internally to get the job done. I'm sorry, they need more. So let's take a look at who could be some options for this Mets bullpen. These are from teams who are basically looking like they're going to be out of the race, who all have good numbers. I don't need to go through every one of their numbers, but all have been good. Jake Bird, he's got a sub-2 ERA for the Rockies. He's been fantastic. Bednar, he's a guy that I think a change of scenery, past success that he's had, he can be really good for the Mets. You know about David Bednar. You've heard his name before. The Pirates are not good. They're in last place, 17 games under 500. So Bednar's a realistic option. You see, that's the picture there. Chapman, a sub-2 ERA. Chapman is, hit or miss. I can understand why the Mets wouldn't want him, but I could understand why they would. Plenty of playoff experience. He does give you another lefty, which you can argue the Mets do need a lefty. So Chapman makes a lot of sense. Emilio Pagan, he's been the Reds closer. He's been a little bit shaky, but a good young talent. Won't cost you a ton financially. Might cost you a mid to high level prospect, maybe, but probably not even that much. So that wouldn't be much. Finnegan, a guy in the division, might be tougher to get. The Nationals have been playing decent baseball, but Kyle Finnegan is having a really good year, and I would do all I can to try to get him. I like guys, too, that know the NL East, and he obviously knows the NL East. He makes a whole lot of sense for this Mets team to try to go after for the Nationals. A 2.61 ERA so far this season. Mets have seen him before. They know him. Kenley Jansen, another one, would be a little bit risky. He's not having a great year. He is older, but the Angels will probably be out of the race despite hanging around 500. He's a veteran option. Andrew Kittredge just returned for the first time this season. He's looked good so far for an Orioles team that is 100% going to be sellers. Maybe you can get a package of Cedric Mullins and Andrew Kittredge together. Steven Wilson, he's not a name I know much about, but he's having a good year for the White Sox, and we know the White Sox are really, really bad. So Steven Wilson is a name to keep an eye on. Brian Baker, another piece of that Orioles bullpen. If you could do Baker and Mullins or Baker, Kittredge, Mullins, and you give away maybe a great prospect. Maybe Baker's a name. If you want to add two arms, you could go after Baker. He's having a good year. And then a lefty, another guy that not many people know of, Hogan Harris, for an Athletics team that is absolutely reeling right now. Hogan Harris, I can't imagine he would cost the Mets a lot. So those are the 10 names right now. There will be more, but those are 10 names I've just looking at some bad teams, looking at good relievers for them and guys that could end up being available. But there's no doubt about it. This Mets bullpen is worn out. Starters, not even just about starters not going deep enough. Starters around the league aren't going deeper than 6 innings most of the time. So you got to start thinking about the bridge relievers. And, at some point, Reed Garrett's going to be exposed. He's not going to have a .7 ERA all year. At some point, Ryan Stanek will be exposed. At some point, Diaz is going to be overused. And at some point, you're going to have another pitcher go down with an injury that you need reinforcements. And while you have some arms in the minors, it's mostly starters. You're probably not going to turn starters into relievers. At some point, McGill might become a reliever, but he's not a guy I don't think you're going to have faith in a tight game in the 7th or 8th inning. So that's undoubtedly the Mets' biggest need is bullpen help. Let us know in the comments below. Is there any name you want? Am I wrong? Do you think they need something more than a reliever? I think it's pretty obvious that's what they need the most. So let us know in the comments. And again, join the Mets Daily Insider family. Also, let us know if you'll be voting for the MLB All-Star. We don't want to get political here on the show. Are you voting for MLB All-Stars? And if you are, why are you not voting for Francisco Lindor? I'm never one to really care about Mets making the All-Star team. In my estimation, I would rather a guy get the break that they probably deserve. Like Juan Soto is going to get a break because he's probably not getting voted in unless he goes on a great run here in June. And I think you live with that. Let him get the breather that week. A lot of these hitters are going to get breathers. But when you look at this Mets lineup and you look at one guy that needs to be an all-star, it's Francisco Lindor. And I'm fine with Lindor not getting the breather because in 4 years, Lindor has not been an all-star. Isn't it amazing? Francisco Lindor in a Mets uniform has not been an all-star. Now, his first year, he stunk, so you get it. But years 2 through 4, especially last year, it's unbelievable that he wasn't an all-star. And when you look at the guys with him, the only one that is going to be in the discussion with him is Elly De La Cruz. And I worry that, with how it goes, and it's by voting, it's not by stats, that he won't get it voted in again because they're going to vote for Elly De La Cruz. So do your part, Mets fans. Vote for Francisco Lindor to make the All-Star team. And that's pretty much it offensively. Now, Pete Alonso, I think, will get in, but probably as a backup. I mean, look at Freddie Freeman's numbers. He's hitting 369. Like, it's just ridiculous what Freddie Freeman is doing. And he does every year. So I'd say vote for Pete Alonso, too, because he's a Met. I think Pete probably deserves to be in, but I have a hard time seeing him get that spot over Freddie Freeman. But that would be the other argument. Otherwise, the Mets offensively, no one else. I mean, Soto would have been the guy if he was having a good year, but no, Nimmo's having a bad year. You're not voting Jeff McNeil. You're not voting Alvarez. Obviously not Vientos. So it's really get Lindor to the All-Star team. And when you look at the pitching staff, that's where the Mets could have a field day. Like, Kodai Senga definitely is going to get in, I would imagine, assuming he's healthy, knock on wood. You can argue for any of the Mets starters outside of McGill. You can argue David Peterson. I don't think Clay Holmes, you can't really argue. I don't think Canning will get in over some of those other names, but you can argue for Peterson. You can argue for Canning. And this bullpen, Edwin Diaz blew his first save the other day. He was the NL reliever of the month for May, so I would argue Edwin Diaz is going to get in. It's crazy to say, but Reed Garrett, my bald brother, .7 ERA, is undoubtedly is an all-star. Like, Reed Garrett needs to be in the all-star game as well. Remember, pitchers are not voted in by the fans. That's by coaches. So, Reed Garrett, another guy that should get in, and Brazoban. Brazoban's another guy that probably should be voted in. So, or be chosen to get in. So, if I'm looking at the Mets all-stars right now, who gets in? Voting-wise is Lindor. Overall getting in, it's Lindor, Alonso, I'm having a stroke. Good God. Good Lord. What the hell's going on? Lindor, Alonso, Reed Garrett, Edwin Diaz, and maybe Braziban. But I'd say those 4 guys have got to be all-stars for the first place Mets. They've got to be in there for this Mets team. So vote Lindor into the All-Star game. Just look up voting MLB.com and vote for Lindor. And vote for Mets Daily by smashing that thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, following me at Jake Brown Radio, and becoming a Mets Daily Insider. $5 a month, $4.99. Cheaper than a large cup of coffee at Starbucks. It's pretty unbelievable. Easy rate. I know you could afford it. No matter what you do, you could afford $5. And if you can't, that's fine too. Keep supporting the channel. Keep watching. I appreciate your support, but extra benefits, cool emojis, giveaways are coming on the Mets Daily Insider channel. Extra video each week, so that's coming. Appreciate the support. We'll catch you tomorrow for the final game of the series, Mets-Dodgers, before they go to Colorado. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great hump day. Enjoy the weather. Let's go Mets.